Have you ever wondered why some people seem calm, respected, and in control, while others constantly find themselves misunderstood, judged, or even used? Why is it that the more some people talk about their plans, their feelings, their struggles, the more things seem to fall apart? At first, it feels unfair. We're taught that being open is a strength, that sharing everything builds connection, that honesty means revealing your entire life to the world. But what if that belief is incomplete? What if some truths are not meant to be shared with everyone? Centuries ago, thinkers like Niccolò Machiavelli studied human nature not through ideals, but through reality. He didn't look at how people should behave. He observed how they actually behave when power, jealousy, and self-interest enter the picture. And what he discovered was uncomfortable. People are not always as supportive as they appear, not always as loyal as they claim, and not always as harmless as they seem. Sometimes, the information you reveal about yourself becomes the very thing others use against you. The Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the most powerful man in Rome, kept his thoughts private in a personal journal. He did not broadcast his struggles. He did not expose his doubts to the world. Why? Because he understood something most people ignore. Not everything needs to be shared. There is power in silence. There is protection in restraint. And there is danger in speaking too freely in a world where not everyone wants to see you succeed. This brings us to a hard truth. The more people know about you, your fears, your insecurities, your plans, the more they can influence you, judge you, or even quietly work against you. Not always out of hatred, sometimes out of jealousy, sometimes out of insecurity, sometimes simply out of human nature. And this is where the first insight begins. Insight 1. Your plans lose power when you announce them too early. Have you ever told someone about a goal you were excited about and suddenly felt less motivated to pursue it? You shared your vision. You received praise. And strangely, your drive disappeared. This is not an accident. Machiavelli observed that people often sabotage themselves by revealing their intentions too soon. Because once you speak your plans out loud, two things begin to happen. First, you receive premature validation. People praise your idea. They admire your ambition, and your brain begins to feel as if the work is already done. The reward comes before the effort, and slowly, your motivation weakens. But there is a second, more dangerous effect. You expose your direction to others. Now people can judge it, doubt it, question it. Some may even discourage you, not because they want to hurt you, but because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. Seneca once warned that weak minds are easily influenced by the opinions of others. And when you constantly expose your plans, you invite those opinions into your decision-making process. Instead of moving forward with clarity, you begin adjusting your path based on external voices. And that is where focus begins to collapse. Now imagine the opposite approach. A person who keeps their plans private. They work quietly. They build steadily. They speak less, but act more. No one knows what they are doing until the results appear. And when they do, people are surprised. Because real power is not in talking about progress. It is in making progress without noise. Marcus Aurelius practiced this discipline daily. He reminded himself not to waste time explaining what he intended to do. Instead, he focused on becoming the person capable of doing it. Because once results appear, explanations become unnecessary. But this is only the beginning. Because while revealing your plans can weaken your progress, there is something even more dangerous to share. Something that, if exposed to the wrong people, can quietly destroy your confidence, your reputation, and your control over your own life. In the first part, we uncovered a dangerous mistake many people make. They reveal their plans too early and unknowingly weaken their own momentum. But Machiavelli observed something even more sensitive than ambition, something far more dangerous to expose. Not your goals, but your vulnerabilities. Because while sharing your plans may slow you down, sharing your weaknesses can give others power over you. This is where human nature becomes uncomfortable. People are not only observers, they are interpreters, and sometimes quiet competitors. When you reveal your fears, insecurities, emotional wounds, or personal struggles to the wrong person, you are not just opening up. You are handing them a map of your pressure points. And not everyone will treat that map with care. Some will, but others, they may store that information. They may remember it, and in the right moment, they may use it, not always in obvious ways, sometimes subtly, through judgment, through manipulation, through shifting the way they treat you. Machiavelli believed that understanding human behavior means accepting one uncomfortable truth. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. And this leads us to the second insight. Insight 2. Your vulnerabilities are valuable. Guard them carefully. We live in a world that constantly encourages emotional exposure. Be open. Share everything. Show your truth to everyone. And while vulnerability can be powerful, it becomes dangerous when it is given to the wrong audience. Because vulnerability without discernment becomes weakness. Think about this carefully. When someone knows what hurts you, what you fear, what makes you insecure, they gain influence over your emotional state. They can trigger reactions. They can control conversations. They can even predict your behavior. Epictetus warned about this exact dynamic. He said that if someone can provoke your emotions at will, they have already gained a level of control over you. Because your reactions are no longer your own. They are being shaped externally. Now imagine someone who reveals everything about themselves to everyone they meet. Their past, their insecurities, their emotional struggles. At first, it may seem like honesty, but over time, something begins to happen. People stop respecting their boundaries. They start seeing them as emotionally exposed, predictable, easy to influence, and in some cases, easy to take advantage of. Seneca once wrote that a wise person reveals themselves gradually, not all at once, because trust should be earned, not given freely. This is where most people go wrong. They give deep access to people who have not proven their loyalty, their integrity, or their intentions. And when things go wrong, they feel betrayed. But the truth is often simpler. They shared too much, too soon, with the wrong person. Now imagine the opposite type of individual. Someone who understands their emotions, but does not display them carelessly. Someone who speaks honestly, but selectively. Someone who observes people before trusting them. This person is not cold. They are aware. They understand that their inner world has value. And because of that, they protect it. Marcus Aurelius lived by this principle. Even as emperor, surrounded by people with different intentions, he kept his deepest thoughts private. He reflected internally. He processed emotions quietly. He did not rely on public expression to feel understood. And this gave him something powerful: emotional independence. Because when you stop depending on others to validate your feelings, you become stronger internally. You think more clearly. You react less impulsively. You choose your words more carefully. But Machiavelli also understood something even deeper. Sometimes, people do not use your vulnerabilities against you immediately. They wait. They observe. They let time pass. And then, when it benefits them, they act. This is why protecting your inner world is not about paranoia. It is about strategy. Because in a world where information is power, the less unnecessary information you give away, the more control you keep. But there is still another layer to this. Because while your vulnerabilities can be used against you, there is something even more dangerous to reveal. Something that does not just affect how others see you, but how they position themselves around you. And once this is exposed, people begin to treat you very differently, sometimes without you even noticing. In the previous parts, we uncovered two powerful truths. First, revealing your plans too early weakens your momentum. Second, exposing your vulnerabilities to the wrong people gives them silent power over you. But Machiavelli observed something even more strategic, something most people never notice until it's too late. It's not just what you plan. It's not just what you feel. It's how much of yourself people can read and predict. Because the moment people fully understand your patterns, your reactions, your habits, you become predictable. And predictability is one of the greatest forms of weakness in social dynamics. Insight 3. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. Machiavelli believed that in both politics and personal life, the easiest person to influence is not the weakest one. It is the most predictable one. Why? Because once someone knows how you think, how you react, what you want, they don't need force. They can guide you, subtly, quietly, without you even realizing it. Think about this deeply. If someone knows that you always seek approval, they can control you with praise. If they know you fear rejection, they can control you with silence. If they know you crave attention, they can control you by giving it and taking it away. Your behavior becomes a pattern, and patterns can be manipulated. Machiavelli saw this not just in rulers and politics, but in everyday human interactions. People study each other constantly. not consciously all the time, but instinctively. They observe how you react under pressure, how you behave when ignored, how you respond to criticism, how easily you can be influenced. And once those patterns become clear, your freedom begins to shrink, because now your reactions can be anticipated. And when your reactions are predictable, your choices are no longer fully your own. This is why the Stoics placed so much importance on self-control and awareness. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to observe his own thoughts before reacting, not because he wanted to hide who he was, but because he understood that uncontrolled reactions reveal too much. Every emotional outburst, every impulsive response, every predictable habit, these things expose your internal state to the outside world. And the more exposed your internal state becomes, the easier it is for others to influence it. Epictetus explained this with brutal clarity. He said that if someone can disturb your peace, they have already found a way to control you. Because control does not always look like force. Sometimes it looks like triggering a reaction. Now imagine the opposite type of person. Someone who is not easily predictable, not because they are fake, but because they are self-governed. They do not react instantly. They pause. They think. They choose their response instead of being driven by impulse. This creates a powerful effect. People cannot easily read them. They cannot easily predict them. And because of that, they cannot easily control them. Seneca once wrote that a wise person is like a deep river, calm on the surface, but impossible to fully measure. This kind of presence creates respect, and sometimes even intimidation, because people feel uncertain. They don't know how far they can push. They don't know how you will respond, and that uncertainty protects you. But here is where the lesson becomes even more important. Being unpredictable does not mean being random or chaotic. It means being intentional. It means your actions come from choice, not from automatic reaction. Because once your behavior becomes intentional, something powerful happens. You regain control over your life. You stop being influenced by every external trigger. You stop reacting to every opinion. You stop being pulled in different directions by other people's expectations. And instead, you begin to move with clarity. But Machiavelli believed that even this level of awareness is not enough on its own, because there is one final secret, one final thing that must be protected above all else. Not your plans, not your vulnerabilities, not even your behavior, but something deeper, something that determines your entire direction in life. And if this is exposed or influenced by the wrong people, it can quietly change your future without you even realizing it. In the previous parts, we uncovered 3 powerful secrets. First, announcing your plans too early weakens your momentum. Second, exposing your vulnerabilities gives others silent power over you. Third, being predictable makes you easy to control. But Machiavelli believed there was one final secret, the most important of all. A secret so powerful that if you lose control of it, everything else begins to fall apart. Not your plans, not your emotions, not even your behavior, but your direction. Insight 4. Never let others control your direction. This is where most people fail without even realizing it. They think they are in control of their lives. They believe they are making their own decisions. But slowly, quietly, other people begin to shape their path through opinions, through expectations, through subtle pressure. And over time, something dangerous happens. They stop living their own life and start living a version designed by others. Machiavelli observed this in courts, politics, and everyday society. He saw men with potential slowly lose themselves, not because they lacked ability, but because they allowed external voices to influence their direction. At first, it seems harmless. A suggestion here, an opinion there. Maybe you should do this instead. That's not a good idea. People might judge you. And without noticing, a person begins to adjust. They change their plans. They soften their ambitions. They silence their instincts. Until one day, they are no longer moving toward what they truly want. They are moving toward what feels acceptable. And that is where real power is lost. Because once your direction is controlled by others, your life is no longer your own. The Stoic philosophers warned about this constantly. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day that the opinions of others should never become the compass of his life. Because people will always have opinions. They will doubt you. They will question you. They will misunderstand you. And if you allow those voices to guide you, your path will constantly change. You will never move forward with clarity. Seneca explained it even more directly. He said that a person who tries to please everyone ends up pleasing no one, including themselves, because their direction becomes scattered, unstable, weak. But a strong individual behaves differently. They listen, but they do not absorb everything. They consider opinions, but they do not surrender their judgment. They remain open, but they stay anchored in their own values. This creates something extremely rare: inner authority. Inner authority means that your decisions come from your principles, not from pressure. It means you are aware of the world, but not controlled by it. And when a person develops this level of control, something powerful happens. They become consistent, focused, unshaken, because their direction is no longer influenced by every passing voice. Machiavelli respected this kind of person deeply, because they cannot easily be manipulated. They cannot easily be redirected. They cannot easily be controlled. They know where they are going, and they move toward it, regardless of distractions. This is the final lesson. If you want to protect your power in life, there are things you must keep to yourself: your plans, your vulnerabilities, your patterns, and most importantly, your direction. Because the more control you keep over these, the more control you have over your future. So the next time you feel the urge to explain everything, to reveal everything, to seek approval before acting, pause. Ask yourself, is this strengthening my path or exposing it? Because real power is quiet. It does not announce itself. It builds in silence. And when the results finally appear, no explanation is needed. If this message made you reflect, make sure you subscribe to Quiet Stoic for more deep insights into discipline, self-mastery, and human nature. And before you go, write this in the comments: silence is power. Because those who understand that truth are the ones who quietly stay in control, while others unknowingly give it away.